Now, I want to bring in NBC4's Hetty Chang. She got a one-on-one with the chief of the OC Fire Authority. Hetty, this is the first time we get an in-depth conversation with the chief. Talk to us about that conversation.
Yeah, Annabelle, you're right. This is actually the first one-on-one interview that we've gotten with the interim chief of the OCFA, TJ McGovern, since that big press conference on Thursday afternoon. So certainly good news, and we talked at length about the latest. And there's a lot to discuss with what's happened the past 24 hours. First, he says, starting yesterday afternoon here on the ground, yesterday morning, I should say, here at the incident command post, they've got a very specialized team of hazmat subject matter experts that are here on the ground because, like they said, they wanted to think outside of the box, right? So these are people who got here yesterday afternoon, people from San Bernardino County, LA County, LA City Fire, Long Beach Fire, of course, the OCFA and the OES. He says that there's one man here from San Bernardino County as part of this specialized team who has experience with this specific chemical, with methyl methacrylate, known as MMA. He also has experienced this in an enclosed container. So that's going to be certainly a good piece of expertise and knowledge. He is part of this specialized team. Let's talk about this potential crack, right? This is certainly a positive thing. The chief called it a positive operation yesterday. We saw those firefighters there on the ground right next to that compromised tank at around 10:45 yesterday. They were out there with flashlights. They were able to do a number of things. First, they were able to get visuals, right? They've gotten eyes on this potential crack in the tank. They were also able to determine the internal temperature of that tank. Remember on Friday when they were talking about this is good, they were able to keep the temperature at 60 degrees. Normally this chemical is stored at 50 degrees, but then the next day there wasn't, it wasn't positive news. They were able to determine that that was the external temperature of the tank. Last night they were able to determine that the internal temperature of the tank is 100 degrees. This was as of late last night. And the chief said that the gauge only goes up to 100. So at this point, the temperature could be more. But again, I did ask the chief, look, what are the next steps? And here's what he had to say.
Let's talk about the crack. We had very good intel and very good confidence that there was a crack. But it's not the crack. What it's looking for is the pressurization. Did the crack allow pressurized to come out? That's what we're vetting right now.
Would you say that having eyes on that crack, and was the first time last night, would you say that that is a really good piece of positive news? Last night was a positive operation. Yes, even though we didn't get all our objectives met, what we got, we're deeming it as a positive information because what it's doing now, we're vetting it and validating it to change our strategic operation. As we're speaking right now, they're basing an additional operation based off the information last night. So we're going to take that and we're going to enhance on it and compound it to start working towards a solution. So if this crack is deemed, I don't know what you want to call it, viable, right? Like it's actually helping to depressurize. That is one of the two options we had talked about on Thursday. Yes. Neither of which are good, but this is the better one. If we can confirm that that crack relieve the pressure, that takes the levee off of the equation. When and if, it's not confirmed yet, but when and if we take the levee off the equation, the evacuation zone is based off of a levee. Okay, you take that off the equation, the evacuation zone shrinks. Now, the next thing, we're going to go cool the tank more. We can get in there now more and aim our water supply to start cooling the tank as we're working on other situations. Well, now you take the explosion off. What does that do? That now shrinks that. What do you feel personally? What do you feel in your mind and your heart, Chief? I spent 25 years working for the city of Garden Grove and the fire department. So I know that community very well. 25 years I spent before we transitioned out to Orange County. So seeing this in the community that I worked for 25 years, yeah, it's very touching. Those citizens, I've met so many business owners over the 25 years, so many citizens. It's almost like Garden Grove is, I grew up there my third of my life, right, because of my work schedule. So yeah, it's very touching to me. I have an ownership, I have appreciation for that. So this one does touch home. Yeah, Chief McGovern really saying that this is personal for him, too, that he spent the past 25 years previously as a firefighter right in this community. So, yes, he understands the frustration. He understands the fear. And it's uncomfortable, right, being outside of your home. But he wants to get these people home. In order to do that, he wants to make sure that everything is safe. So you heard him say the term BLEVE. That stands for Boiling Liquid Expanding Vapor Explosion. Kathy and Jonathan, remember on Thursday, they kept saying, look, there's only two options here, neither of which are good. But the crack that's going to relieve some of that pressure and allow that 7,000 gallons of this MMA chemical to then pour into a parking lot. And at least that way they can contain it, right? At least they've taken out the equation of an explosion. That's exactly the news that we're hoping to hear, right? So right behind us here is that incident command post with that very specialized team from really all across the state. They're going to be taking a look at the options. They're going to be thinking outside the box. And hopefully sometime soon, maybe not tonight, but maybe tomorrow, the hope is that the chief can report that, yes, this in fact is a crack that is relieving pressure off of that tank. And that's going to be a very, very piece of good news. So we're going to continue to keep you posted here at the incident command post here at the Los Alamitos racetrack. Back over to you.
First positive news we've heard. Hetty, thank you so much.